What's up, everyone? Welcome to Beyond the Court, episode 13. We're so happy that you're here joining us today. As you can see, we pretty much have a full squad in the building. So special welcome to Anwar, Amir, Andy, John, and Daryl. And my name is Agent P, also known as Pan. And today we have a very, very interesting discussion that we want to cover. For those of you who have joined us in previous episodes, you've seen us talk about the Raptors and even the championship run from last season. But today we're going to touch on the team that we were able to defeat and win that first ever championship, the Golden State Warriors. And we're going to touch on their dynasty and their run. The Warriors actually making 5 straight finals from 2015 to 2019, winning 3 of those finals as well. 4 of those finals, they were matched up against LeBron and the Cavs. And, just want to throw it out to the group, and we'll start off with Andy just to get it kicked off. What were your thoughts, Andy, in terms of the Warriors' overall dynasty and their run as a whole?
Just from been watching them over the course of the few years that I have, it's just amazing to see how the team's management really put that roster together. Every year there's like constant trades and pieces that they're pulling together, either from the roster of the team to management pieces to coaching staff. Obviously Kerr getting that head coach position, his first head coach position for that first championship run, but just really great management. I always felt that it was a team that was ahead of their kind of game in sense of how they build rosters. I found that just a few years before they won the championship, you see like moves to get like draft picks. You know, a lot of their players on that first championship were from draft picks, but you can see how they pulled veteran players to help push those rookies to get them into playoff mode, and finally setting records for that franchise in wins. In that first year they actually made their run. So again, you can put it down to the players, but you can have a really great player in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, but I think the management put it together and they made a really good run just to start it off there.
Yeah, well, they had an amazing run. It was probably one of the most entertaining runs that you've seen a team make, right? And I think for the first couple of championships, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that hated that team. Like, even if they weren't rooting for them, you'd really be hard pressed to find somebody that disliked that team. The entire argument comes in is after they lose the 2016 finals, they get KD. And then they become like the golden child to the hated, like it just immediately split the fanfare, I think, in the middle. And for me personally, I hated the move. Like obviously if you're a Golden State fan, you hit the jackpot, right? There's no team that would ever say no to Kevin Durant. And then I don't personally hold it against like Golden State, because obviously if you're Golden State and Kevin Durant's like, I want to come to your team, you'd be like, okay, yeah, fine. Right? My problem is with Kevin Durant and that decision to go to that specific team.
I think Andy hit the nail on the head there with management doing what they needed to do in order to just build the best possible team that they can put on the floor. And it kind of goes back to Amir's point. Like, yeah, he hated, KD on that team. But again, that's management stepping up and doing what they needed to do to bring KD to that team. Anytime that there was a question in terms of, do they have enough money for this player and that player, they always shelled out. Like, it was never a financial thing. They just always wanted to be the best team, right? Put the best team out there. And it was fun to watch, right? Even going back to like the Baron Davis season with Steven Jackson, right? Going back to that kind of started everything, right? And then Steve Kerr came in and just completely transformed the team, right? And allowed Steph to develop into the player that he was. So just overall, it was, we keep saying, they had a great run, but I think next season, like they're right back in the mix of things with Steph and Klay coming back from injuries. Just this year they had, those injuries.
Yeah. No, I mean, personally, I'm not a Golden State fan, but like I can't sit here and deny the last like 5-6 years, right? It's been amazing. Like, and we've been lucky where we're on the East Coast. We watch our Raptors games, and then we usually get treated to Golden State versus whoever, right? Late evening, night kind of thing. So I watched all the games, right? Not a fan, but I do appreciate what they brought to the table. It was a team that was definitely built, right? Pre KD, right? And they really invested in their players. And, I think when Curry got drafted, I think he was supposed to go to the Knicks. So I remember the draft, and when they called out his name, there were a bunch of boos, right, from Knicks fans. Hey,
Always booing. Doesn't matter who they draft.
yeah, man, yeah, always. So yeah, and yes, we knew that he was a great shooter coming in to the league, but like what he was able to do in a very short period of time was amazing. And I think I'm on the fence, man. Like I'm not gonna hate on them because Katie got there. I do find it a bit suspect, but we can talk about that. But again, like I'm not that invested in it to really have a solid opinion. But I can see how people could their view could be kind of skewed there.
Oh, I'm gonna hate on them.
No, I know you are. I'm setting it up. But I can't say anything bad, man. Like entertaining, fast paced, offense, defense, drama, everything that you want to see in a basketball game. That's basically what they brought.
I agree with you up until the point that they got KD, and then there was no more drama. There was zero drama after that.
But why hate on KD though, Amir? I mean, like you kind of in your earlier kind of mention of it, you said that the way that it sounded initially is like you're kind of on the fence with it, that you can't hate on what Golden State did. And it's like KD, at the end of the day, he joined that team and he delivered. He delivered. Like how much pressure does it also take to join a team and also win those championships and also deliver back-to-back finals MVP? I mean, we're talking about an era now where the game has changed, guys. It's like in terms of like guys teaming up, that's the era that we're in terms of this modern day era. And if we're going to talk about KD joining a team, I'm going to say it, man. LeBron joined the Heat. I mean, that was orchestrated. They got together with himself, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. I think it was one of those Olympic teams. They got together and they said, look, man, when we're together as free agents, we're going to find a destination and we're going to be together. And Miami was a spot. Pat Riley made the move as the godfather, and he brought them all in. So, like, if we're going to fault, like, KD for making that move, it's one thing to make that move and not deliver and win. He proved it, man. He's the one who's hitting Jay's and LeBron's eye in the finals and making him let it be known, like, who is the best player in the game. So after those finals end, the discussion is what? Okay, KD or LeBron, and KD is actually making a claim to say that he is maybe the top player in the game. Like that's the discussion that we're having. No, but you can't. That was the narrative. Like you may not think that, but that's the narrative that's being discussed on sports shows and everything like that. So, like, I understand your disdain for it, but at the same time, like there was precedence that was set before. Don't get me wrong. KD is sensitive. KD is super sensitive with the multiple Twitter handles or social media handles and burner accounts. Like that doesn't put him in a favorable light. So he's uber sensitive. But at the same time, man, he came in, he delivered. That guy's game is so smooth, 7 feet tall. Who's guarding him 40 feet out? You're getting gunned down every single time, and he proved it. So I think for you to kind of still have that little bit of disdain towards that, at the end of the day, he won, man. He won and he delivered, and management made the moves, cleared the cap space, put that team together. And the only person that they added, yes, KD is a bona fide Hall of Famer, but that team was drafted, built from the ground up, foundationally built. Clay was drafted. Draymond was drafted. Steph was drafted. The foresight to have ownership that comes in and says, you know what? We're actually going to build a thing. You fire Mark Jackson, bro. You fire Mark Jackson and bring in Steve Kerr. How gutsy is that? That's similar to like
After a
us saying
50-plus win season too.
exactly and playoff
Yeah.
experiences. That's like us like that's what we did with Casey. If we want to make an analogy, like we were making playoffs all the time, and it's like, you know what, Dwayne Casey, it's not working anymore. Pound the rock, it's over. We need a fresh mind in here. Boom, Nick Nurse comes in next year, championship. So
But I'm
Steve
not
Kerr had
arguing
the
that.
same
Like,
rise,
I'm not
right?
arguing their build, and I don't have any problem with that. I think nobody has a problem. It's great management. They put together that team, and yeah, you're right. It was from the draft. But like, what happens if you don't have good management then? If you're comparing that to LeBron, do you just sit there and like allow your terrible management to destroy your career? Like, I don't know. Like,
But
Well, I think-
in Cleveland, though, it wasn't necessarily terrible management.
it wasn't.
He was there. He was there. Was he not picking the players that he wanted on the team? He had Mike Brown at the tip of his finger.
When are you talking about? The first run or the second run?
Both runs. It doesn't matter. Like he always had a say on who he wanted on the team. Do you remember the last one where he signed? Who did he pick up? Isaiah Thomas. All these other stars, and it just failed miserably. And when it didn't work out to his liking, he all
That was Kyrie Irving that demanded the trade, and then the management traded for a whole bunch of random pieces.
But Amir, you're talking pre-Miami, right? You're talking like
Yeah.
when
he's trying to talk
he-
pre-
when
Like
he basically had no one with him,
like
right,
the
on that team.
comparison is
Pre-Miami.
when he went from Cleveland to Miami the first time. There's like it's not you can't compare it at all. Like it's not the same at all.
Yeah,
You're
I'll,
talking-
I'll agree with them here, and I'll bring up two of the points. So, years have gone by, but just a little refresh here. But if you guys remember what happened with Durant, so he had, of course, like, we all know they met in the Western Conference Finals.
right?
3-1, they got eliminated. We all know about that.
Mhm.
That same season, Durant came out. He was interviewed, and he basically came out himself and said, before the end, I want to play with OKC. I want my career to be with OKC. He said, and I quote here, I love it here, man. I love my teammates. I love the city. I don't think about anyone else. I'm one of those guys that would love to stick it out with one team my whole career. He compared himself to other players that stayed on other teams, and he literally said in the interview, I love it here, and I want to get my jersey retired here. Then everything gets flipped. They lose. Everything falls apart. He starts to blame the coach. He beats other players. He said, there's no offense. Aside from like social media things, that's fine. We can keep that separate in it as well. But when he did that, it's not as though he didn't have good players before. So yes, LeBron joined other good players as well, but we know that KD had good players as well. He had
LeBron was going to the finals.
LeBron
the
joined two
conference finals for how many years?
yeah, LeBron built the team though. Like they joined. It wasn't.
That's right. LeBron built the team.
Yeah,
right?
so
Not-
then
not-
what you're saying is if you have terrible management, you should stick with the terrible management. And I know people get into like, oh, the players. I have no problem with the players' right to choose. Like KD could have chose 28 other teams, and I would have had no problem with that. But he like the two teams that anybody would have questioned is the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because I guarantee you, if he had joined the Cleveland Cavaliers, not one Golden State fan would be out here being like, yeah, KD. Like, no, because they would like the Cavs would have stomped Golden State. They would have
Okay.
stomped them every single year.
Okay,
And
It was
compared to-
LeBron
compared
and
to-
KD with Kyrie and Kevin Love.
but
compared
that's
to
like,
Going
Kawhi,
back to John's point,
look at what Kawhi
John-
did.
Going
Go
back
ahead,
to
John.
John's point, like John, you said that KD came out, he said all that, right, about how you want to stay OKC for life, whatever, right? But my friend, things change. Is Russell Westbrook an easy teammate? Does he not have a reputation in the league to be hard to play with? Not necessarily play with, but get along with in the locker room, right? Things change, right?
So-
When did
True,
you say that?
true, true.
Say that
So
started
what
the
you're
season?
saying is you couldn't win with Russell Westbrook.
but there's layers to that, right, Amir? I mean, like
Yeah,
in terms of that team, it's not just Russell Westbrook and KD. It's also the
They had
coach.
Ibaka. They had.
Coach they had. I
Cantor,
get-
they had the whole-
Right, but John, you're right. On paper, that team did make it to the finals as a young squad that played LeBron in the finals against the Heat, and they just didn't have anything to get over the hump. Like Harden was young, coming off the bench. Like that team was stacked in terms of talent, right? In terms of what have been made up. But we know that it also takes a person at the top in terms of leading those players and getting them together. Like Steve Kerr coming in and taking over that Warriors team. Mark Jackson had the exact same roster, man. And then the next year, Steve Kerr used that same roster and goes to the finals and wins a championship. So I think it's the management of egos and players. Like, don't get me wrong, bro. Scott Brooks does not have a resume. Billy Donovan is a college coach, and he still hasn't proven anything in the NBA yet. So I'd say, like, for KD, and I agree with Daryl's point, times change, thoughts change. It's not like he was there in OKC for 1 year. He was there in OKC. He did about 7 to 9 years there that he was there. And then he made a decision. Granted, he knew the backlash that might come with that decision to join a very, very solid Golden State team. Probably one of the most stacked teams ever. But is that on him? Right? Like,
it is on him. It's his decision. Like, that's 100% his decision.
Right.
I like to compare it against,
like, cool with it, right?
Look at like Kawhi did. I value like what Kawhi did because he had an opportunity as well. Right? He could have. He joined LeBron and AD, but he wanted to keep the competition field kind of level. He came out to say that himself. But you have KD. He doesn't care about any of that.
Wait. Are you talking about Kawhi moving to Clippers?
Yeah. He had an opportunity. He could have
Kawhi
joined.
went to Clippers because LA was his hometown. That's one.
Yeah.
And two,
Right.
he did not want to
play with LeBron.
And
That's his
three,
point.
he
That's his
demanded
point.
Paul
Yeah.
George.
No, but it's not
that's
because he wants to win more chips. He doesn't want to play with LeBron. If there was
because he
another
wants competition.
superstar,
That's
like
But he wants to keep it. He wants to keep it fair though.
no, it was never about that.
No,
It was
he wants to
never
be the
about
man.
that. Why did Paul George go there then?
Paul George.
He wanted to go to LA as well.
No,
And he
but
also
on
knew-
the Clippers. They worked together to
That
build
was
that
orchestrated.
Clipper.
That was
Paul
orchestrated.
George
wanted out of Russell Westbrook.
Bro, that was part of the deal. If Kawhi was going to go to the Clippers, Kawhi made the demand that Paul George is on that roster.
Yep.
Okay, so
Like,
I don't have problems with like players going where they want to go. Like,
Right.
but understand that it's gonna be like
in a way you do,
consequences
bro.
to your decision. Like
That's
if you
the
just
way you
like,
do.
Okay,
because
so-
you have a disdain for KD even to this day.
No, so just two things.
I do
with
because
that.
I think those championships are definitely tainted.
But then
like,
Because they would have been there regardless. That's his point.
yeah.
But that
Like,
goes
let me
They would
ask
have
you
been there
this.
regardless. They had
Let me
that
ask you
team
this. Then.
already.
Okay, let's say you
But
take
wait.
KD out and you replace him with any one of the other top 20 players in the NBA. Do they still win those two championships? The answer
We
is
don't
yes.
know that.
Of
We don't know
course,
that.
of
I
course,
would say
of
they
course.
still go to the finals,
They will.
but we don't know
They
who's
will.
going to
know
win.
that.
More than likely. More than
You gotta
likely.
remember, man.
Yeah, okay,
KD
let's
was
say,
making
instead of
LeBron
KD,
work
it's
in the
Kawhi.
We
finals.
don't know that.
Let's say instead of KD, it's Kawhi. Do they win the
Easily they win a
championships?
championship.
Oh, yeah.
Both
Of
sides
course.
of the equation. Defense all day.
Kawhi.
Easy.
Okay, so they win the
Defense,
championship with
exactly.
Kawhi.
Right.
Do they win it with
Right.
AD?
Easy.
Most likely.
Do they win it with Russell Westbrook?
Most likely.
Do they win it with this is my point. Like, you can
No.
go through a list
I'm
of
gonna have
dudes
no.
and they-
So just bring it back
They
to
still-
bring it back to
Yeah.
Durant and OKC. You guys think that Russell Westbrook was an amazing player and teammate. I disagree with that whatsoever. There's two reasons why I disagree with that. One is you can't tell Russell Westbrook what to do. He does what he does. A coach can't tell him, and a players can't tell him. That including Durant. And one of the main reasons why Durant went to the Warriors was because he sat in a room with three of their top players and said, hey, we're going to give you the ball. You come to our team. We're going to work with you. We're going to make sure you feel part of our team. It's not that, hey, this is the Durant show or this is the Russell Westbrook show. It was a team show, and that's what the whole sold on the Warriors was. And then even if you wanted to say, okay, Westbrook would have done the same thing. Westbrook had Paul George right after that. Where is Paul George today?
He didn't have. It wasn't right after.
No, what I'm saying is Paul George came to that team, and the very next year he dips because
He's like,
it's the
"I'm
same
upgrading
thing. It's the
Kawhi."
same formula. You can't play with Russell Westbrook.
That's
His
insane.
style of play, Westbrook's style of play, is not easy to play with.
And
Because
that is the failure. That is the down failure of their coaching or their management not seeing and recognizing that, like from the get-go.
So I keep hearing that narrative, but like when you go back and that's what you hear. He's like, oh, it's Russell Westbrook, it's Russell Westbrook, it's Russell Westbrook.
I don't know if it's Russell Westbrook, but I do think the pieces didn't fit
I think it's a
together.
big part of it.
I guarantee you,
but it plays into that,
if Durant went back to OKC with Chris Paul there, they're contenders.
Different
easily.
story.
They were
Yeah.
contenders before. Like that,
No.
that's the like. I think that's the point that people are like ignoring. Like they were contenders before. Like all this talk about they weren't fitting. They weren't fitting. Like they were up 3-1 on that world beater of a team. And then all of a sudden it's Russell Westbrook's fault when they lose. Well, okay, so
they choked. They choked, right?
Yeah, in 4 of those games, like Russell Westbrook didn't shoot well, but he's not even a good shooter. But he did everything else, right? He makes up for it in his rebounds, his assists, his steals, his hustle. Like he does everything else. Kevin Durant shot 10 for 31 in Game 6, 12 for 31 in Game 5, 8 for 24 in Game 4, and 10 for 30 in Game 1. And I don't hear anybody saying it was Kevin Durant's fault.
No, but it's not. You're looking at the stat.
You
got to look at. You're looking at the stat. But in the game, you could see poor decisions by Russell Westbrook in key moments. Like I'm talking about key points in the game, and even up to today, when you watch him play, you see that he makes really bad decisions at key points in the game. He can drop triple doubles all day long. But when it comes to a serious decision making in a clutch moment, I will never give him the ball. I will never make sure.
I agree.
That's why he's playing with James Harden right now. Like this year would be. This year would be. I don't
disagree with you there. I don't.
This year would be the actual point where it says, "Hey, we're gonna stick you with another major top tier player. Let's see what happens."
In the league, arguably.
But like I think we're also ignoring like
They're
the
not
other
gonna win.
teammates on that OKC team. Like you had Serge there.
Yep.
Who in that series was shooting like 50% with like you had Adams who was again like these Adams is a quality big man. Andre Robertson is the defender, and his Cantor coming off the bench. Like
no, but
that is a quality team.
But remember Andre Robertson.
Yeah, but they were all balling. Like they were all balling.
Buy a shot for his life.
He couldn't shoot free throws, right?
Yeah, he shot 52% in that series.
No,
shot
but there was a
on 9 points and 7.5 boards.
What was the last 3 games shots he took? Just like that.
It doesn't matter. He averaged 9 points and 7.5 boards on 52%.
Nah, he's
I don't know what you say.
I remember him.
Yeah, but okay, here's the thing though. Like Amir sticking to the point of it was a 3-1 series lead, and OKC essentially blew it. Bad decision making by your two best players in terms of Westbrook and KD. But also, let's not discredit that they were facing the defending champion. Okay, don't underestimate the heart of a champion in Golden State with Steve Kerr's tutelage that's not going to quit. People also should not sleep on Game 6 Clay, Game 7 Clay. All right, so that shot making, the beauty of Curry and Clay stepping up, Draymond doing his thing, and Iguodala refusing to die and essentially fighting and forcing a Game 7 and then destroying OKC in Game 7 to get to the finals. So in a way, yes, we can talk about a choke job on OKC's end, but let's also talk about the wherewithal and the ability to still level up and win those last 3 games and get to the finals. And granted, that also led to Golden State's inevitable choke job in the finals, right? Where they were up 3-1. So it was almost like poetic justice coming full circle in that season.
Like I agree that Golden State was a dominant, like world-beating team.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think Oklahoma was that equivalent of that team, because the round before they did eliminate Kawhi and a 67 win Spurs team. So they beat the top. They beat the 2 seed because they're the 3 seed, and then they went up 3-1 on the one on the 73 win. Like I think people are like just like
but they didn't close the deal over that.
So here's a question for you here. So let's just play devil's advocate, and if Durant stayed on OKC, and the roster for the Warriors still stayed the same, do you feel that OKC beats the Warriors next season?
Do they even make the finals?
Probably.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
It'd be close.
I think that's a toss-up, right? I mean, OKC's been littered with injuries too.
Remember,
let's say injury-free stuff. And
remember though.
You just had that, and you had
everybody
that.
stayed. Everybody stayed.
Yeah, that Warriors team was number 1 in offense and one of the top defensive team in the league. So they weren't maybe the way they started off was slow in that series, but you could tell Durant knew that team was a next level team in that series for them to come back. You don't just get beaten down and be like, yo, okay, I'm gonna come back next year and then beat them again. You look at your opponent and be like, hey, there's no way in hell I can beat with what I got. So either OKC's management didn't make proper moves or didn't just put a plan together to show Durant that, hey, we're going to beat the Warriors next year with these moves. Or they said, I'm going to keep it status quo and, hope for the best next year.
But didn't they trade Ibaka after that?
Yeah,
they traded Ibaka for Victor Oladipo, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly.
But what I'm saying
that was a draft day deal.
I'm just saying, if you kept the team the same, regardless of what happened.
So yeah, but that owner is a great owner. Like he's done great things with that franchise from what it was. I mean, after post KD leaving, he's been able to attempt to sign, he signed Russell Westbrook again, and he brought in Paul George. The Paul George thing work out. He got Chris Paul and a whole bunch of talent. Yeah, he made a mistake by letting Harden go. Fine, people make mistakes. Obviously, he's not the perfect GM. I don't know if anybody knew Harden.
He's not Messiah.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But I don't think the management there was the problem. It seems to be it's a solid, a pretty solid management.
So Amir, here's the thing though. You're going very hypothetical. They were up 3-1. But they didn't close the deal. They didn't get that fourth win, so they didn't win that series. Yeah. Here's the other thing too, guys. Over the period that Golden State ran with that dynasty, that team changed the game. Okay, every other team wanted to become Golden State in terms of just the level of coaching and the play and the passing, the assists, the cuts, the shooting.
Oh, the shooting. Yeah.
Other teams were not built like that, right? In terms of even off the ball switching, the defensive metal of it. So at the end of the day, I get that. Yes, they had them on the ropes, but they didn't take them out to the woodshed and end them. They didn't do it. So, and at the same time, that team, the way it was constructed and built, they are going to fight right to the end. And it's going to take everything. It's going to take a Draymond Green low blow to make sure that LeBron gets a title when they're up 3-1, and not to do anything to discredit LeBron and Kyrie and how they played in that finals. But let's be real, 3-1 Golden State with all the momentum. There's no reason why they don't have 4 out of 5 championships right now. That's the one championship that I feel for them that they wish they could have back.
Yeah,
they wish they could have back that title.
I think so. I think they probably give up the other 2 to get that one back.
Sure, right?
But but I think we all agree that the Oklahoma City team, as it was not it was not a trash team.
They weren't a slouch. Not at all.
So this is where I think that he could have taken a little bit of LeBron and demanded, if he's I need more shooters, you demand more shooters from your GM. If the only thing if you're saying to me the only thing you're missing is some outside.
I don't think he's an outside.
It was 7-8 years though, man. And they couldn't get it. He gave them a good 7-8 years.
But there was another thing too. I remember there was an article about Pau Gasol when he became free agency, and OKC was trying to get him.
I remember this.
And Pau Gasol just plainly said, "I do not want to go to OKC. The city is boring. There's nothing to do there." It was a point blank statement.
But you don't need a Pau Gasol type of player. You need
a
JJ Redick.
One of the problems,
you need a shooter.
The problem was they couldn't attract those players though. People didn't want to go out and play.
They were already there. He was there. He wanted to stay. He just needed some role player shooters like a Fred VanVleet or.
No, but that's what I mean. That's the
but Amir,
no, I think what Amir's saying is that KD didn't make an effort to work with the management to get that piece.
To make it happen.
Putting 9 years in?
No. Trust me, he put his time.
Not everybody's like that, man. Not everybody is as vocal.
So that's fine. And like I said, if he wanted to go to another team that was built like that to compete against those guys, I would be like, okay, fine, yeah, go for it. But this is an all-time great team.
Amir, you're flip-flopping. You're saying that you respect people's decisions to go to whichever team that they want, but you're like, no, KD, you're not allowed to go to Golden State.
No, he's allowed to go to it, but then I'm allowed to hate on it. That's what it is. I'm
no, but your argument
is, but
But what you said from the beginning is like,
Yeah.
oh, any player, regardless of who they are, has the right in terms
Yeah,
of the
of
decision
course.
that they make. So he's allowed to do that. So why are you going to hate on him? Like, that's what he did
He's-
as a free agent.
And
He
the other
made
thing
And
too,
the reason
he's
why I'm
allowed
hating,
to.
like I said, there was two teams. He like if he had chose to go to either of those two teams, I would have hated on it. Like
But you
if
can't
he
pick
had
and
gone to
choose that,
LeBron, I'd
man.
be like, yo,
Yeah,
that's a
but
whack
we're-
move.
You
Like
can't
it's a
pick and
terrible
choose.
move.
So if he came to the Raptors and we won a championship, then like what difference does it make too? Like
Were we
like,
like we were a championship contending team?
okay, bro. What was our issue? We were always running into a roadblock named LeBron. We get KD on our team. He's gunning down LeBron, right? He's shooting threes at the ACC. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. So like, I mean, our issue was what? Like that we needed one more transcendent player. We had to trade DeMar to get Kawhi, and that
You're
put
right.
us
We
over the
needed
hump,
one
right?
more transcendent player.
Right.
Golden State didn't need that.
Golden State was already. His point is that
Like
I'm-
okay, hold
He
on.
didn't
Let
take
me
the challenge in.
run through Golden State record. That year, 73-9 record, 54 straight home wins record, 34 road wins record, 24-0 start record,
Yeah, record.
Curry.
Let's go.
unanimous MVP record, 402 made threes record, most points in an OT game by himself, 17 record, like 32
So we're hating on
made
greatness now?
threes in the finals
No,
record.
Yeah, but Amir,
Hold on.
what you didn't,
But-
what you're
but-
again,
hold
no,
on,
no,
hold
no,
on, hold on,
Amir,
hold on.
what you're
Yeah.
looking at as well is this: you didn't watch those games as closely. Those games were really close games, and every one of those games were played like finals playoff games. Every one of those teams that the Warriors faced were gunning for them. There was this disdain at that time even that the Warriors were coming to town.
Okay.
Everybody put on their best shoes and ready to go pounce on
So
these
you're making my
guys.
point then. So what you're saying is that everybody
No,
gave
but
the Warriors
what
the
I'm
best
getting
shot
at is
without
that-
Kevin Durant, and they beat they went
because they
world
wanted
record.
the luxury
I
of
was
not
like-
running their guys like right
So-
through like 43 minutes,
what's the issue?
45 minutes, 48 minutes. And remember, when the whole Durant deal went off, the Warriors had to drop half their team, their entire bench. They had one of the
lost
best
all
benches.
support. Yeah, I agree.
They
Yeah.
had one of the best benches in the league.
Lack
And
of-
they
yeah.
cut
Yeah, and then they
that
were
whole
whopping people by like 30 points a game. Like,
And it's also
They're
the salary
destroying
cap. The
people.
salary
No.
cap. You can't pay everybody,
No.
right? You got to get guys on minimum
true.
contracts.
Yeah,
to
but
join
every
your
one of
team.
those games, it was Steph Curry delivering like
And
crazy
again,
amounts
like
of threes
for
and
Golden
shots and
State-
going.
sorry, go ahead.
No, but it was always close. Those guys, and then even in the playoffs after that 73-9 seasons, every one of those games, everybody was just pouncing on Steph Curry, pouncing on Clay. There was no other offense for the rest of the guys because the other team, the other guys on the teams, they weren't putting up numbers for. So right away, management saw it as a problem. I remember there was a game where Steph Curry dropped like 60 points, has the worst shooting game. I think it was against, I want to say the Rockets or somebody when they were playing, or one of the worst shooting slumps that he had. And Clay had the same thing previously. When those two guys don't click and there's an offset, the team is like none and done. Like that's it. You
So
don't
like
get
every other
anything.
team, if your two best players don't perform.
Yeah, so they saw an opportunity. They
But
saw
like-
an opportunity. They didn't need to get an elite player. They thought Harrison Barnes would be that guy to be, a 15 to 20 point player. Like,
But
per
I'm
game.
not hating on
Couldn't
Golden
make a
State
corner three.
Like
What
I'm
he
not
couldn't
hating
make-
on Golden
He
State to
couldn't
be
do
like
anything in that whole
Yeah.
playoff run.
like Kevin Durant come to our team. I'm not like obviously like I said, like if you're the Golden State Warriors, you're gonna try and get him, right?
Right.
But for him as like a competitor, that team just came back and whooped you. I'd be like, yo,
And
let's
then
run
you
it
just
back.
changed
Let's
jerseys
run
and
it
joined
back.
them.
I'm like,
Right. Okay.
let's
so
run
let
it
me-
back.
Yeah, no, but that's you saying let's run it back. But in terms of like this modern day NBA that we're in, we have seen teams team up. That's just the way that the game is now, man. Like it's not the way that it used to be. So we have to also get used to that. Like I used to hate on the LeBron move like crazy, but at the same time, he did what was best for him. I hated the decision. I hated the special. I hated the whole like I'm gonna join and then the whole like hoopla of like not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you end up with 2 in 4 years and you look old and broken down and you come back to Cleveland. Okay, so let's not get that. Let's not lose sight of that. And also, like, why are we belittling the element of who they played in the finals? Okay, the Cavs were no slouch. They played the Cavs 4 times in the finals. LeBron had Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. He had shooters around him as well, and they were dominant in the East. How many finals did LeBron make time and time and time again and just ran roughshod through the East? And you come and face the Warriors? Bro, it's one thing to make the finals. It's another thing to win in the finals time and time again. 5 straight finals, that's a lot of basketball. That's an 82-game season in the regular season and all those playoff wins.
Okay, but then you have to use that for LeBron and double whatever weight you put on the Warriors. Like he made it 8 straight times. Like
okay, so he hasn't
like,
won.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And so like I get and
like,
I understand why people hated on LeBron because of the decision, and they didn't like how it was done because it was cringy. Like it was a horrible way to announce. Like it was the stupidest thing that I seen somebody do.
I think the Boys and Girls Club got like $2 million or something. I was like reading about that. So like it was a gesture,
great,
right? That's
like,
what he was thinking about. So.
PR wise, it was disgusting, right? Like it was like okay, like what are you doing, man? Like,
fire your PR team.
Yeah. However,
but let's keep in mind.
like,
Let's keep in mind. Remember, I know same thing with KD when remember what he said for that tweet I shared before.
Right.
When that happened, KD came out and he said in that tweet, "Oh, what's up with all these guys joining up?
Right.
Let's keep competition alive."
We know that KD should be away from Twitter.
And then he does
we know
the same
that he
thing.
shouldn't be on social media. We know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
but a lot of players say that. Like I have the same thing with. You could say the same thing with like AD, and when Cousins left as well, because they had the opportunity to sign him, and the New Orleans gave Cousins a shit deal, and so he left. He took that year off, went to the Warriors, and then AD gave him crap about that. Gave him crap. I remember it. He was ripping on him about that leaving, and then where's AD right now with LeBron? So
does KD get basically a pass because he spent all those years with OKC? Is that why? Because he spent all those years?
I think KD gets a pass because he was a free agent. He went to the team that he wanted to go to, and he won. He won. He delivered.
He was arguably the best player on the team when he was there.
It's like if I say like, yo, John, you're like the next. You're the sickest guy that like we're trying to bring into our organization, and you're a closer. You get stuff done, and then you come in and you deliver, and you leave a squad that you've been with for 10 plus years, and you come in and you deliver and you get the job done. Like, yeah, that's what we brought John in for. He was a hired gun, a mercenary. He did what he had to do. So like that, you delivered, bro. So how should you be slighted for that? If you left like Microsoft and you joined like Google or something, like are you gonna get belittled for that? No, you made a move that was best for you and you delivered. You knocked it out of the park. So I don't see why KD should get drilled.
But you gotta understand, people are gonna like, and if he was cool with not caring about what people thought, this would be
for sure. His sensitivity killed him.
Like the fact that he's out there like defending like against random dudes like me and you, like that shows you. He's not cool with it, man. Like he knows.
He knows inside.
And he knows that he hates that everybody else knows and feels that way. It's
right,
like,
and that's his own inner peace. That's his own inner peace.
73-win team that lost in the NBA Finals by one shot away from being declared the greatest team ever. Period.
Like, forget that part. So my beef with him is this.
That's the whole.
My beef with, okay.
Ignore that. But
no, listen to this though. But listen to this. So so he goes to the Nets now. And he's on this team that if he was healthy and Clay was healthy, no offense, they would have won, right? They were the contenders to win last year's championship.
Say it's the Raptors.
Hold on. I would say they were.
Wait.
I would say they have.
Is that far-fetched?
Favorites.
Okay. Is that far-fetched? It's not far-fetched, right?
What?
I mean,
they would have won.
You need some luck to win championships,
Yeah.
and yes, the Raptors got a bit lucky. We got lucky as well. Let's not sugarcoat it.
We
But
can
I
still
want
be-
to say, like, I'm not on the boat that we would have had.
It's not just the Raptors.
It's any team
No,
that
I
makes
get
a run.
that.
It has to
What
be
I'm
Exactly.
saying though is this: if they were healthy, that whole team, okay, let's put it, they would have had a better chance of winning the championship.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So KD knows this. He comes back healthy next year. He stares at the Warriors. What is stopping them from winning the next 3-4 championships?
nothing.
At the Nets, in the Nets.
No, at the Warriors.
If he stays with the Warriors.
If he stays with the Warriors. Right now, the roster of any team that's
No,
built
because
right now,
Did you
there
listen
is
to
no
all
team
this-
that would have stopped them.
Did you listen to all the smoke interview with him?
It's the teammate. It's a Draymond Green bullshit.
It's an
Yeah,
internal.
No, I'm just
No,
saying
there-
if
there's
he
a
stayed.
couple
I'm just
things he
saying
said
if he
there, too,
stayed.
right? He's like, oh, it wasn't easy anymore.
Forget
I'm like, yep.
the drama. If he stayed, that's what I'm getting at. Is he left because of whatever Draymond said? Draymond called him out. It's done. It's done. But for somebody who's trying to secure their legacy, in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know how many more years he'll have left. This would have been the opportune time to just stay with the Warriors, suck it up and win 3 more championships, 4 more easily, because the teams that are built in today's game, they would not have competed with the Warriors if everybody was healthy. And that's the difference, right?
The
Do
media
you not
destroyed
also
that
give
team.
him respect, though? Like, do you not
Like-
also give him respect for going to Brooklyn and saying, okay, now I'm going to build my own thing?
I do.
And,
I do give him the respect.
right? Like, that's
Yeah.
the respect thing,
Yeah.
no?
No, but
If he wins there, that's full respect. Like honestly,
he's
that's
not
like,
going to win there. Let's be
like-
honest. I don't
like,
see
that's
that.
what
Yeah,
everybody
Kyrie
wants.
is a waste.
Kyrie, yeah, the biggest
he
thing was
can
he
win.
went to Kyrie, and I felt right off the bat, I'm like, this is not a
Terrible.
team player kind of guy to build teams. You don't do that. So right off the bat, it's Durant and the Nets. It's not Durant, Kyrie, and the Nets. It's just Durant and the Nets.
Okay.
And the Nets obviously they're in the same boat as the Knicks. They're not building any major franchise or playoff runs anytime soon. So
what's the overall argument right now, Amir? You feel that the Warriors' run is tainted because their management team actually had the ability to pull in a talent like KD to win championships and
No, I
keep
think
the
it's
dynasty going? Or
KD's
what's
legacy.
the argument?
How do you pose a question like that, bro?
KD's legacy, or KD's
Oh,
KD's
man.
elevation into that GOAT level is it's held back for me personally.
It's
Bro,
tainted. Yeah.
regardless
Same.
of how you feel, he will always be. Right now, he's no argument, the greatest scorer ever to play in the NBA. Unstoppable, unguardable.
Unguardable.
Right? Like,
You have to go back to that Warriors series, man?
who
10
can
for
stop him?
31, 12 for 31, 8 for 24, 10 for 30, unguardable?
I'm saying one-on-one, though, it's difficult, right? Like, you're 7 feet tall. Like, who's really going to –
No, but also he's
Who-
gotten
who-
better.
who-
He's gotten better since then, right?
Yeah, like you're judging.
He's
him
gotten better
based on
because
how
you
many
feel
years-
like he's just
He had
by himself. Like you have to double
Yeah,
Steph
it got
Curry, you got
easier.
to double
Steph and
Clay. Like,
Clay.
but like they had Boogie in there for a bit. Like what?
Bro, he's no
But he
bum, though.
made
Like,
his shots, man.
I'm
Like,
not
you
saying
can't
he's a
have all
bum,
these
dude.
open shots.
yeah, just because those guys
Yes,
are
he makes
around him,
open
he has to
shots.
take those shots and make those shots. Like, you're making it seem like, oh, yeah, like, yes, no one's doubling him. So who's guarding him? It's one-on-one, mano a mano. He's staring LeBron in the face. He's like, come get it. I'm going to shoot this in your eye and try and stop me. So, like, who's
And he
that
was
on?
doing it.
Right? He was
Alright,
doing
fair,
it, and he
okay, fair
delivered.
enough. So he
That's
made,
2
he made
Finals
simple shots.
MVPs, right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't discredit from that.
Yeah, I think skill wise, and I think Amir feels like people recognize his skills. It's just his decision. That's the whole point of it all. I think we all recognize his skills. He's a great player.
Yeah, you can't.
So
argue.
it's
No one can argue against
the
that.
Warriors dynasty.
Nobody's arguing his
The
skills.
Warriors dynasty is kind of solidified as one of the best runs as a team. But Durant's decision going there is kind of tainted his
Yeah.
legacy.
His overall.
In my
Kind
opinion,
of like
because
that
even
Miami
if you
team.
ask
Like,
like
that Miami
everybody
team
else,
was
right?
fun. That Miami team was fun, but the decision and the way that they got there is the same thing.
You're
It was
right.
a
And, so that,
terrible-
and that
and
was the
honestly,
difference.
honestly, I would have gave LeBron more respect if he just stayed there. I understand why he left
Yeah,
to go
well,
to
what-
Cleveland. I understood that, but if he wanted to, remember they made the finals and they had a close games with the San Antonio Spurs. It wasn't like a blowout series. And when he
The
left
second time was.
Second time was a blowout.
the second time, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was-
it
San
was.
Antonio
Yeah, yeah.
team was.
Then LeBron started
it was-
cramping
it
with
was
the
perfect basketball. Yo.
Yeah, cramp.
Oh, right. Spurs
Okay,
ball,
okay.
movement.
And Kawhi was
Uh-huh.
going to work. Kawhi was
Right.
just straight
Yeah.
dominating.
So again, but
22-year-old
still,
Kawhi,
they
right?
were
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were a
yeah.
finals team. Like that Miami team would have been. They were just missing some bigs. I remember that team. They were just missing some solid bigs that they just needed to get more boards. But that was an easy fix. They didn't need a superstar, high calorie salary player. They just needed a few big players to grab boards, and that Miami team would have rolled to another finals. And I honestly think that if he stayed there, health permitting, that Miami team would have won another 3-4 championships in that sense, and that would have changed the whole dynamic of the NBA at that point, right? There is no talk about the Warriors. I don't foresee that being a talk at that point, but it would have been Miami versus
The Warriors would have came eventually, though. I feel like Steph was just blossoming at that point,
Yeah.
right? Like he was starting to come.
No,
into
for
his-
sure. But you think that three the Bosch, the Wade, and
Yeah.
LeBron versus Clay, Draymond, and Curry?
They were.
And like
Can
again,
be
you're making my
developed.
point. Like
Man,
so, when you
that's-
have that, you have like you have an equally matched team versus an equally matched team, and that's what it was the first two. And then
Yeah, but remember that that 15,
the scales tipped after that. Like
yeah, that
like
15
seriously,
that's
you're not
just the
adding like
beauty of-
a 15, 20, 50 player. You're adding like at the time Steph Curry was considered top 5, and then you add the other guy in that top 5, all because you're gunning for one LeBron.
That's the beauty of management, and
One
that's the
LeBron-
beauty
No,
of winning.
that's fine.
One LeBron with
That's
Kevin
fine for
Love
management,
and
like, but then
Kyrie.
like then you're the other guy who did that, like, that's up to you. So the other thing is, like, when you were comparing KD's to LeBron's move, like, we just went through like OKC's roster and their accomplishments and their win streaks. Like, can anybody name me the second scorer in any one of the?
But Amir,
the
you're looking at
LeBron?
it just on paper, bro. We are not in that locker room. We're not playing with those
I
players
understand,
around
but
us, right?
I'm talking about a caliber player.
I
Right?
get it, bro. I get
What
it.
did the management do to add to that team in that original Cavs team?
Was LeBron vocal? Like, I think LeBron also got his voice afterwards as well. Like, once he went to Miami and he played with
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
Wade
because
and
I
that
Bosh,
dude was just
and he
I
came
think-
back. He was
I
taking
think
I
care
got
of the
LeBron
man.
there, and I'm
Yeah,
selling out
I
every
think
night.
that-
Why do I need to improve?
Bro,
Yeah,
when
that
he
first
came back to
like-
Cleveland, LeBron demanded, like, yo, trade Wiggins. I want love. He didn't just say, like, oh, I'm going to come here, I'm going to groom Wiggins
Yeah,
and maybe
because
make him
other
to a
than that,
better
why
player.
would he go back? Like, dude, at the end of the time, their biggest signing in the 09-010 was Antoine Jameson, and 37-year-old Shaq. Okay, LeBron is averaging
Antoine
30
Jameson
points
was
per game
nice,
on 05, 06, 07, 08, 08, 09, 09, 10. The next person is Zydrunas Ilgauskas. That's
Right.
their next highest scorer at like 14 points per game.
I'm with you 1,000%, man.
Oh,
I
so
think-
like I don't understand where like like.
but
It's
bro,
like four
here's the
man.
thing, though.
the-
Here's the
in-
thing,
in
though.
a
No,
week-
No, here's
finals
the
they
thing.
lose to San
Dallas.
Antonio with 4 All-Stars.
Right.
Boston gets 4, they get slapped after that. Like
But bro, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, like, yo, LeBron, it's cool that you went to Miami because you made a decision that's best for your career, but I'm going to hate on KD because you made a decision that was best for your career in that moment. You can't say that they're not allowed to make the same mutual decisions to better
wasn't mutual.
themselves.
like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, one was not mutual. Like, when he joined
But
Miami,
the
they had
mutual
been-
thing
they
is
had
they
been
both made the
smacked
decision for
by-
themselves. They made the decision for themselves, for their
Yeah,
own,
that's fine.
for their personal.
And so one I respect more than the other. Like, that's just what it is.
That's
So the question is, are they the same? Are they at the same level?
So you do respect it. So there is an element of respect. There's not full hate then, right? You got to respect it then. He made the move that was good for him.
Yeah,
And
no,
he
I
delivered.
respect him. Like, because honestly, like, he had to know that it would, like, this would just
For sure, man.
Like,
For
he had
sure.
to know it would piss people off, right?
Here's the other thing, though, Amir. Think about it. A caliber player of KD going to the Warriors. You think there aren't egos on that team already, bro? Like, Steph had to take a back seat. Like, everyone else had to figure out how is the ball going to get distributed. You got 4 guys who can technically, aside from Draymond, he's not a scorer, but he's still a focal point of that offense before KD joins. So all of those pieces have to mesh together to still make those finals
Yeah,
runs.
You got a great coach too, though.
Yeah,
And
but
a
that
great
was the
coach.
thing with that
Figures
Warriors
it out.
team.
And
They're
that's why-
they're one of their mottos is no egos. You know, you could talk to every ex-player that left that team. They always said it. There was no egos on that team.
I think up until Kevin Durant got there, probably.
No, man, it
No.
was true. It was
Oh,
true.
Come on,
You
man.
sure? Then how?
You wanted the
The
ball. You
Draymond,
wanted
the
the
whole
ball.
Draymond
Even Matt
thing, man.
Barnes,
Give me
even
the
Matt
ball.
Barnes, man,
Remember
back
that?
several
He
times.
wanted it.
Anyway, no, but like I think Steph Curry actually got away the best of this
The
because
cleanest.
no matter what happens, everybody still loves Steph Curry, man. Like, KD
It's true.
went, he got 2 more rings. He's like, thanks, man.
true,
I'll
man.
come back.
No,
next
but I still got some
year.
beef with Steph Curry, though. I still got some beef with him. Like, he's one of my favorite players, but you know, I find that he delivers in the regular season, and I feel like just when he's really at that point where he needs to just
I agree,
like
man.
step into the
That's
next
why they
gear,
have
he
Clay,
makes.
though. Like Clay
No,
is that guy.
Clay's the.
No, I get that, but like I felt even with the Raptors series, I had there was a few games where he
It
could
was
have
erratic.
he could have won. They could
I
have
don't
done
know,
some
man. You
simple
played pretty.
things.
You
But
played
it
good
was
in
just
that
simple.
series.
I'm like, I was just waiting from okay, I'm waiting for him to get into that extra gear to
Yeah.
go to the next level. Put it like I always bring it back to Kobe. Kobe, when you saw Kobe do something like bite his jersey and put that mean look on his face, shit's going down. Like it
So
wasn't never like that.
He was also
we see
injured
Steph-
too, right? He was also
What was it,
injured.
game
too.
3? He dropped like 50 points or something like that.
Yeah, but
Madness, yo.
he was the only one taking the shots.
It was just him. It was just him.
No, but he was dealing with some injuries too, right? Like,
Yeah,
there was a reason why he was like
yeah.
kind of not what we were used to seeing either, right?
So
But
what do you
either
guys,
way, I'm not even talking about just last year. It was every year, and that's why he never got that, the Finals MVP because he never You watch Durant play. I think he should have won the 15 MVP over Iguodala still.
Hands
Yeah.
down, agree with that.
Yeah, I didn't like that vote that they gave Iguodala that. Regardless, he did a really
but I
amazing
understand
job.
why Iggy got it though. Like, not to discredit.
Yeah, they said he
right? Like,
changed the
That
momentum
series
of the
changed.
series.
That series
right?
did change. They went to the death
Yeah.
lineup, and that
But
was it.
even if it was changed, Steph Curry scored the
Yeah.
points regardless, right? You
Yeah.
still got to score
Even
points.
in the 17-18, I think
Even
it
KD's
could have been a
second
toss-up,
MVP could have
right?
been-
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
his
toss-up.
numbers in the playoffs are
Yeah.
amazing. If you look at his numbers, but if you look at his plays, like his actual body motion or his like language, he never looked like he was in the game. He was just looking like,
that's
okay,
just Steph though, man.
He's
Like,
just laid back.
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I've seen Steph play. If you want to, if there was a game I always reference where there was a Steph that was fierce and competitive, was at OKC. I think it was the 2016, the same year they had the 73 win, where
The double
he
overtime one?
he comes
Yeah.
back from injury. He gets hurt in the game, and he drops like 13 threes in that game, and then walks over, and it was tied, I think. He walks over the center court and then hits the shot to seal the game, and then does a two-step in the middle of the court. Like, that's the kind of
Yeah,
attitude
but
I was
I
hoping
would-
for.
threes, Andy, that's not happening every game.
No,
bro.
but what I'm saying is, it
Like-
wasn't that. It was just his attack mode.
But
He was
I
in
understand what
attack
you're
mode.
saying, though. Yeah, I know.
He was in
I know
attack
you're
mode against that Durant team.
I'm not gonna
whole-
question. I'm not gonna question Curry's killer instinct because when Andy, you mentioned Kobe. Kobe, with his own mouth, said, "You look at Steph
Yeah.
Curry. You think he just looks like a baby face guy? No, he's a baby face killer. He's a baby face assassin,
Yeah.
and he's trying to gun
Yeah.
you down. He might smile at you,
He's-
but he's really trying to take you out. So I think
And he
I
does it
I
his
wouldn't
own
worry
way.
about that.
That's
I
why
wouldn't
he
worry
done-
about that killer
yeah,
instinct.
he
I
done
honestly.
was
Kobe
listening
then,
to
man.
one of those talk shows too, and they were saying like how he was not clutch, and he was like something like 1 for 8 in the clutch free throw or clutch shooting within that 45 seconds. And they were asking like, "Oh, would you have him take the last shot?" And like 3 people said no. I'm like, "Are you stupid?"
Steph Curry
I
to
think
take
it was
the
like
last shot?
first take or something. I'm like, if you ever have a last shot
No,
and
I
Steph
don't
Curry
think
has the
that's-
opportunity to take it, you get
But
it.
wait,
sure.
is Clay on the team?
Like-
Is Clay on the team? Because then I might go Clay.
Oh, I don't know, man. Steph Curry's. I've
1-1-8.
seen some crazy Steph
1-1-A,
Curry shots.
1-1-A. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy Steph Curry shot. That man is deadly from anywhere past half. Anywhere past half,
So-
he's deadly.
So let's touch on a couple of things, guys, before we wrap up. What do you guys feel about Draymond's comments in terms of him saying that the Warriors don't have anything left to prove post KD leaving? Do you guys agree with that sentiment, with him saying that? And also, just to wrap up, what do you guys feel in terms of how the Warriors dynasty ranks up overall, and is their dynasty over?
I
don't
think
think-
there's kind of the two of the same thing. It's unfinished business. There's one, they need to prove that they can still make it to the finals without Durant. They're a top contending team. And then two, they need to prove to themselves that after that 73-9 season, right, and that loss in the finals, they need to bring back the 3, which was one of the major reasons why I love that team, was those 3 guys, and take another chip if possible to redeem everything that's happened, right? Because every person that you talk to about the Warriors, they're always going to be like, they were a stacked team. They're all stars. The only reason they won because they had Durant, or the only reason they won was because Kevin Love was injured, Kyrie was injured. There's always some sort of asterisk on the whole thing. So come back next year all healthy, and just prove the league wrong, right? That's what I have to say about that.
And that's the thing, though, bro. So, like, I was gonna say, there's a few things need to happen for them to kind of regain that level of dynasty, whatever, right? They are a dynasty in itself, but people always ask the question, like, is it dead? Is it gone, or is it going to be rebuilt again? They're injured. Yes, they're going to come back healthy now, but the caliber of injuries that these guys have had, those are injuries that come back in a second, and it's over, right? Yeah. So I think that's a huge thing, injuries. Number 2, they need a bench, man. They have 3, 4 in Wiggins now, right? Solid starters. But I feel like over the years they've depleted their bench. The whole KD thing, they got rid of a slew of people, right? I think they really need to build that up. And number 3,
I don't think Wiggins will. Oh, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I know where you're going. Number
Yeah.
3, the NBA landscape has changed yet again, right? A few years ago, who were people trying to beat? The Warriors. So they have made their team that a lot of teams now have shooters. A lot of teams have now centers who are stepping out and shooting, right? So I think the competition in the NBA has changed drastically as well. So all these factors are going to play a huge, huge role in the way um, does Golden State come back to what they were? Because I think especially now in the West, like it's a even field, right? So there's a lot of things that need to happen for them to come back to that level.
I think we may see a similar move that Kevin Durant pulled to join the Warriors. John, I'm looking at you.
Not the same. They'd be joining. Remember a team that's in.
Oh, dude, I
Not the
think
same. It's not the
that
same.
would be the same thing, bro.
Warriors.
Not
But
a
you just said
chance.
it's like it's such a big
You
risk with the
defended it.
injuries.
You said it was cool.
No, I'm defending it, right? But
What?
now, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna hate on Giannis or are you gonna show love? Right? Like, yes, there's that
I'll hate on
Greek
Giannis.
thing. Yes,
We all will.
here, right? but so like, is it done? Pan, you asked, is it done? Depending on what happens, man, this off season, it may absolutely not be done. Like, it could just be getting started again.
Even draft,
right? Like, if they land a player like Giannis, I personally don't think Wiggins will be there next year, right? I think he's a pawn in what's to come. I see the Golden State Warriors being relevant for the next couple of years, depending on what they do this offseason, and I have full trust in the ownership.
Yeah, along the same lines, I feel the exact same way. That's and actually, I was going to ask you guys earlier. Defending KD's move, I was actually going to pose that to get it on record, of course. But no, they're going to go forward. I think they're going to try their best. Steph's on Zoom calls with Giannis apparently, from what we're hearing. On social media.
Bro, besides in the same
You gotta feel
hotel
better
together.
though. The Warriors are the worst team in the
I'm
NBA.
praying.
So,
There you go. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. But no, they'll be relevant. I don't, they're going to be top. Even if they don't clinch Giannis, I think they'll make pieces move around. They got smart management, and they're going to still be here going forward. But hopefully, Giannis comes to us though. Hopefully, he comes to Toronto.
Oh yeah, like I think if they're healthy, they're a problem. Like if they're healthy, they're a problem. Even next year, the year after, maybe even the year after that. Like I still think they're young enough and they're like kind of in their mental prime. If they take care of their bodies, I think they got a problem. As for KD, it is what it is. I don't put much weight on those 2 rings for him. If he wins if he's able to pull it out in New Jersey, that's great. Honestly, that'd be good for him. I think he'll be happier winning a ring there. I think he might actually be happy about that, and you never know. But if he does that, that's good for him. And I hope the Warriors come back, man. They're a great team to watch at all times.
yep.
I mean, minus KD.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
They were fun
That's one of
then
I was
too,
gonna
bro.
say. Add to that too.
Yeah,
was
man.
just-
You didn't even need to watch the games. You knew you didn't need to watch the games for 2 years. There was no reason to watch a Warriors.
Must see TV. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think just to cap off, guys, I agree. I think the Warriors' run isn't done yet. I think a year to heal up with some of these injuries, and just to piggyback off what Anwar said, some very serious injuries. How will Clay look? In terms of that knee and that leg coming back as well. And also, they got a high draft pick. What do they use in terms of those picks? And even do they package Wiggins and these guys? And maybe that's a trade to get Giannis or someone of a solid caliber to once again build out that roster. Is Draymond officially maybe trade bait as well, with just how much he shoots
Ruffle
off
the
at the mouth
feathers.
as well, right? In terms of ruffles feathers as well. So I would never write off that management team. Full credit and full marks to that team and just the dynasty run that they had. 5 years of making 5 straight finals. Let's keep this in perspective, guys. If Draymond doesn't do a low blow, maybe they win that championship. And as much as if they are fully healthy last year as well, who knows? Maybe that's another championship as well. So that could have been 5 for 5, right? So in hindsight, they got 3 out of 5 championships. No team has ever won more games than Golden State over that 5-year span. 322 wins. And Steve Kerr took over that team. The Warriors finished top 3 in both net rating and offensive rating. That's the best dating all the way back to 96, 97. So we're talking MJ days. Okay, so that's how high caliber that team was. So we'll see how it plays out. So that's where we're at, guys. Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Court, episode 13. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We'll also have all of our podcast information where you can listen to us audio form as well. Take care, be safe, stay blessed.